Hi, and welcome to What's Up Williston, the town's monthly TV show where we take a closer look at things going on around town. I'm your host, Erik Wells. This month we're going to be talking about bridge work in town. Most of you may recall the temporary bridge connecting Marshall Avenue to Kimball Avenue in South Burlington was heavily damaged by a storm on Halloween. Thankfully, with some hard and quick work from a number of partners, we were able to reopen that bridge earlier this week. We're going to discuss that project, what led up to it, what the fixes involved, and kind of a permanent solution for that bridge this month. And joining me to discuss this is Jon Olin from Hoyle & Tanner & Associates. Hey, Jon, how are you doing today?
Hey, Erik. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess to start, could you let folks know, what do you do at Hoyle & Tanner?
So Hoyle & Tanner, we're a multidiscipline civil engineering firm, and for this project in particular, we were brought in for the replacement structure at Kimball and Marshall Avenue. And while we were going through the design process, this storm event happened, and that's what we're here to talk about today. So we do, on this project in particular, is structural engineering and roadway engineering.
Now, we have a temporary bridge in place here, and that was dating back to a spring 2017 event. Mm-hmm. I guess we should walk back there to start and let folks know, how do we get where we are right now?
Yeah, so at the time of that event, the municipalities found that there was damage to the original 1970s-ish corrugated metal pipe culvert, and it warranted putting in a temporary bridge over the top of it. So since it was a buried culvert down below, they didn't have to dig down all the way down to it. They were able to put the bridge over the top and leave that berm in place for future, eventually, when we got to the replacement design. So that was put in at 150-foot spans. The original pipe was 15 foot in diameter, and they put that span out further so it was outside of the influence zone if something were to happen, such as this event.
So this takes place on Halloween, and quite a rain event. I remember being out that night with just a lot of water everywhere. Was this something that we even considered happening when we had the temporary bridge up there? It's one of those decade storms, right?
Yeah, that's a great point. It's a decade storm. So it is something that's it's always a risk, and we've been seeing a bit more of these concentrated storms. So this was a unique band of storm that came up and impacted quite a bit of Vermont along this western side. And based on hydraulic modeling, and where the limits of the flood impacted, it was about a 50-year storm event. So pretty unique to have a 50-year storm event while the temporary bridge is in place.
And kind of running parallel to this process, your firm's working to design a permanent fix for this space. So that design process, that's been going on, timeline on that, you started probably 2017?
Yeah, 2018 we completed, actually in January of 2019 we completed the scoping study. So we gone through that process through 2018. Where it was an alternative selection. So what's nice is there was an additional need to bring the bike path across from the South Burlington side to connect with facilities over on the Williston side. And Muddy Brook has always presented an impasse for that. So while going through the replacement structure, we presented alternatives to bring the bike path across at the same time. And the preferred solution was chosen. It's going to be another buried structure, much wider in span to meet current design requirements and the future hydraulics for a long-term durable solution, while also bringing the bike path across. To complete that project, it's a pretty expensive project due to the depth and the volume of the road. So we predicted that, or we estimated that to be about $2 million construction fee. So that it took time to work through the funding, and then the next phase after the study, we were selected to do the design phase of the replacement structure, which is what we're currently in right now.
So we have that work going on, and then we've had this obstacle to deal with the damage to the temporary bridge.
Yeah.
And we've got some pictures we can take a look at here, and they're pretty striking. So here's one. I guess you could explain what happened here, Jon.
Yeah.
What was your reaction that day when you saw this?
So I got the call on Friday morning, which was November 1st, the day after the storm, and met out on site with officials from the city of South Burlington and town of Williston. where a good, prudent decision was to maintain this road closure while the effects of this storm were in place, and we had a chance to take a deeper look into the stability of the bridge with this large open cut right here. So as we talked about, that 50-year storm was about 4 inches of rain over a course of a couple of hours.
Wow.
So that really brought that brook up. And because of the damage that was already in the metal pipe, what happened was the pipe collapsed and water started diverging around the pipe and really eroded quite a large channel. It was about an 80-foot wide across. So with that 150-foot bridge span, we recognized that the culvert was still pushing water towards one of the abutments, one of the footings for the bridge. So we decided to maintain closure of the bridge until a stabilization project could take place.
I think we've got here's another image of so there's that culvert completely moved out of the way that you were speaking of.
Yeah, crushed right down the middle. This is looking from downstream, facing back upstream. You got the temporary bridge right above it, and you can see that orange line there. That was a buried communication line. So all of that open space that you see, that was all earth. That was all an earthen berm right there where the pipe came through. And when it collapsed, it took about 5,000 cubic yards of soil away from that area, which is quite a bit of material to move. And we worked with the utilities to stabilize and to actually lift them up away out of the water where they were still active and maintain those in place.
So we've got something, when you look at the situation there and the structural engineering piece of it, you were saying you've got the two ends of the temporary bridge, then we're swaying away the bank on either side. So structurally, that's going to happen if you had anyone using the bridge, its integrity was going to fail at that point, if I'm following that.
Well, it was at a risk, so always being cautious to make sure that it's safe for the public to use. Like I said, it was a wise decision, in my opinion, on the part of the municipalities to maintain the closure. Fortunately, this roadway qualified for emergency relief grant funding through FHWA, administered through VTrans. So we're able to partner very quickly with VTrans to administer this grant funding, get a design put in place, get the stabilization constructed. We partnered with Terracon, who is our geotechnical consultant, who analyzed the slopes underneath the bridge for the global stability and what repair with the sizing of the stone that was put back out there to armor it and protect it for its continued use. And then ECI Construction, the contractor, we worked closely with them to figure out the access roads down and to figure out a safe way for them to be able to construct, because these were very steep slopes with a very heavy bridge still up on top. And they worked really well with us to figure out solutions and get the permanent, it's still temporary, but the restabilized banks underneath the bridge.
A couple images of the work that was done here we'll take a look at. So here's the bridge just about before it was reopened, and describe what changes we see here. I see a lot more bank structure back in place.
Yeah. So now we're facing from the Williston side. This is facing west towards South Burlington. You can see the large amount of stone that covers the slope. So we took the slopes which were underneath the bridge. They were essentially vertical. The channel, it really held the vertical slope while the channel ran through. But we cut those back at a more stable angle and covered it with this stone that you see here. And that armors the slope, protects it, gives it a structural capability resisting any of that global stability failure. So it's in a much safer condition for its use to hold the bridge until we're ready to put that replacement structure in place.
Oh, that's just another view here down at the stream level.
Yeah, and this is facing from underneath. Again, I said we wanted to make sure that the contractor was safe to work underneath there, so we worked with them to create these bench zones, as we call them, which does a couple things. It allows that channel to stay over towards the right side of the picture, but if we do have another storm event, it can raise up and access these areas for additional waterway, leaving this armored protected slope in place. But it also allowed their equipment to maneuver underneath there and build these armored slopes from underneath the bridge.
About how long did the repair work take? It started in December or so? No, late November, I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, no, it was fast. December 9th, I believe, is when the first date of construction began, and we finished up the 31st on New Year's Eve. So we made the 2019 goal of reopening the bridge. They did a great job. The crews worked really fast through some cold, snowy conditions, as you can see there. And so it was about 3 weeks of construction.
So we've gone from a storm event on October 31st, reopening the bridge on December 31st, with about 3 weeks of construction at the end, with a fully federal aid-funded project to get this thoroughfare reopened. Is that something that happens very often?
That's fairly unique. That was really a great partnership. It came together with really good communication. And I should also point out the regulators, the Army Corps of Engineers, wetlands, and the stream alterations engineer through the DEC, through A&R. We met on site very quickly after we decided to move forward with this repair design. And everybody on site, we communicated, we figured out what we could do, where we could do it, and they worked together with us quickly through those permitting process. Additionally, the communications and the buried utilities worked really well with us to make sure that what we can do to get them back out of the way in a safe condition for those utilities while we can get the ECI, the construction crew, out there to work on it. So it is unique, and it's a great example of a lot of people working hard together to figure out a good solution.
Yeah, it was a great endeavor, and the town's very thankful to all the partners that helped us out to get the road reopened. And I know a number of residents and commuters through the area are very grateful as well that we were able to get a solution in place there.
Yeah, it's a significant impact. This road sees over 7,000 vehicles per day, so it's a really heavily traveled road that's used as another east-west access to Williston Road. So we did see what happened quickly after the storm event when it was shut down, all that traffic being pushed over to Williston Road, and VTrans worked to adjust some of the signal timing to help alleviate that, but it still puts quite an impact of traffic over there. So we appreciate the communities coming together and being understanding that this took a little bit of time, but it was for their safety, and we got it done.
What did you learn from this project?
What I learn every time is the power of nature is amazing. It's incredible to see what large storm events can do, and good decision making, good teaming, working together. It's always great to see that when we have that partnership with the funding program, who's able to understand that this might be a unique situation, and they allow us to work closely together to figure out what the proper solution should be and get the project done as quickly as we can. Going forward, I think it opened up some new opportunities for us with the repair design. So as one positive from the event, it will give us some different opportunities for the future construction of the replacement structure. So we're going to retake that back into the design phase. We're still going to do some additional, we're doing some additional survey down below. You can see there's some metal pipe structures. It's hard to see in that picture there, but we left some sleeves down below so that we can do soil borings, which we weren't able to access before as close in proximity. So this will give us that ability to get those borings done, and we'll work that into the replacement design.
So it sounds like next steps, replacement design, final steps will take place coming up this year.
Yeah.
I know the town of Williston, the city of South Burlington, we have a good general estimate of what it's going to cost, around $2 million. So I think both communities are looking at having a possible bond question coming up for town meeting day 2020. And once we get the funding sorted out for how we're going to pay for the new structure, getting a final design approved, and then working to bid out for construction and kind of take it from there for the timeline. But I know it's something we're actively working on here.
Yeah, and that's important. So the design process for the replacement structure does take more time than this emergency stabilization of what's already there. So we do go through, we will spend more time with permitting and right-of-way, as well as the design and development plans and specifications for the future structure. At that same time, we're going to work with Williston and South Burlington to secure the funding. So at the earliest, if nothing's going to happen next summer, and with the hope that really at the earliest 2021 construction would be fantastic, and that's doable from a design side.
And it's certainly something we'll keep the public updated on as we work through this process. There'll be other public meetings to share the final design coming up. And
that's right.
We had a look for the preferred alternative last year, looking at, like you spoke of, with the initial design, with the bike path connections. And
yeah, we're looking forward to it. It's really, it still is a temporary structure out there. That's something to kind of keep in mind, is that the goal is to remove that bridge and put the permanent facilities back in place, and we're on track for that. Just keep it moving.
Yeah, well, it's been quite a lot going on there. A lot of excitement here with all the pieces to this, and I'm glad everything's back in place and we've got a good path forward at this point.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, anything we didn't talk about, John, that you want to add?
No, I think you did a great job covering the project. Again, it was really, we appreciate the opportunity to work with the town of Williston and the city of South Burlington, and we're really looking forward to seeing that replacement structure get put in place.
Yeah. Thanks a lot for coming on, John.
Thank you for having me.
And that's going to wrap it up now for this month on What's Up Williston. Reminder, we've got Town Meeting Day 2020 coming up in March. Tune in coming up next month. We'll have more information about Town Meeting Day, how to get involved. Please check out the town website for information leading up to Town Meeting Day. And if you have any ideas for this program, if you want to be a guest, feature segment, please reach out to me. I'm Erik Wells, Assistant Town Manager in Williston, and I'll see you around town. Take care.